Marvellous watched as Donald, her boyfriend of 3 years, went down on his knees, tears streaming from his eyes. She couldn't deny it. He was a very handsome man. Whenever they went out together, she noticed how women stared at him. She never blamed them. A tall, dark-skinned 33-year-old with broad shoulders like his was hard to ignore. Donald was wealthy, powerful, and respected, a Nigerian military officer who, to the surprise of many, had risen quickly to the rank of lieutenant colonel. His intelligence, gallantry, and extraordinary service had fast-tracked his career, earning him both national and military honors. Nothing in the world was more attractive to Marvellous more than seeing him in his decorated military uniform. It clung perfectly to his well-built body. To her, he looked like strength. Like success. Like protection. 3 years earlier, Donald had walked into the bank where Marvellous worked in customer service, complaining about his mobile banking app. She noticed him immediately, the charming smile, the warmth in his voice, the subtle scent of his cologne, his neat hairline, his glowing dark skin. He was her type. She didn't know he was a military officer then, he wore simple house clothes. The next day, he returned with the same complaint. When Marvellous held his phone, the app worked perfectly. That was when he smiled and confessed that he had only wanted another chance to see her. She felt embarrassed by how much she blushed. They exchanged numbers. They spoke every day. Within a week, he asked her to be his girlfriend. She said a big yes before he even finished the question. Now, as he knelt before her again, it wasn't to propose marriage. It was the same kneeling he had done the week before, and the week before that, making the same promise he always broke. "I promise, I would never beat you again." He begged. He cried. And like clockwork, he brought an expensive gift to make up for it. This time, it was the beautiful handbag she had reposted on TikTok just 4 days earlier. What Marvellous loved about Donald was that, despite the times he lost his temper, despite the beatings and the verbal abuse, he could also be incredibly sweet. He was a smooth talker. He always apologized with gifts. Her friends who advised her to leave were just jealous. Who wouldn't want a man like Donald? She had never seen him cry the way he was crying now. Maybe this time was different. Maybe this was the last time he would ever hurt her. She tried to stand so she could hug him, but sharp pain shot through her body. Her right eye was swollen shut, she could only see clearly with her left. Still, she clung to him. He was the love of her life. Her world. Her forever. Her pride. No one knew that her entire world revolved around this man. 2 days later, Donald's military driver, Cyrus, drove her to the shopping mall. She needed to get a few things. While there, she ran into Rose, her friend from church. Her dark shades slipped off, revealing her bruised eye. She picked them up immediately. When Rose asked what happened, Marvellous lied and said she had accidentally hit her face on a wall. She noticed the look of skepticism on Rose's face. Rose knew she was lying. She knew the bruises came from the beating she had received from her lieutenant colonel boyfriend. Like many others, Rose had advised her to leave. When Angela, one of their friends, once called Donald a beast of a man, Marvellous had lashed out, calling her a jealous little bitch, and threatening to slap her if she ever disrespected her man again. Rose only smiled now, told her to take care of herself, and walked away. As Marvellous continued shopping, she thought maybe Donald was right about her friends. What value did they bring to her life? All they did was gossip. She knew they envied what she and Donald had. She no longer visited them, and they were not allowed to visit her. Donald had also told her he wasn't comfortable with her working. He paid her twice what she earned at the bank and preferred she stayed at home. Male friends were forbidden. When Donald once saw her hug Thomas, an old university friend, he had beaten her so badly she nearly landed in the hospital. From that day, she cut off all male friendships. She wasn't allowed to wear certain clothes. She couldn't even remember the last time she traveled to visit her family. One evening, Donald returned from work angrier than she had ever seen him. She had seen him angry before, but never like this. She served his food, but mistakenly brought regular Coke instead of Diet Coke. He called her names. Insulted her family. Knowing he had a stressful day, she decided to walk away. He assumed she was walking out on him. The next thing Marvellous remembered was waking up in the hospital. Her sister, Martha, was by her side. When Donald walked in, Martha, usually gentle, suddenly exploded, pointing fingers and insulting the love of Marvellous life. Marvellous became furious. How dare Martha speak to Donald like that? She angrily asked her sister to leave. Martha stormed out, saying, "The only way you'll leave this man is when he kills you." Donald knelt again, crying and apologizing. He's so handsome, Marvellous thought. She couldn't bring herself to hate him. He wouldn't have beaten her if she hadn't been so clumsy and served the wrong Coke. Her recovery was slow. One day in the hospital, a nurse named Titi came into her room. "I know you didn't fall down the stairs like your boyfriend said," the nurse said calmly. "I know he beat you." Anger rose in Marvellous' chest. She wanted to slap the nurse and tell her to mind her business. But she stayed quiet. "What you feel for this man isn't love," Nurse Titi continued. "It's Stockholm Syndrome. And you need to see a therapist." Marvellous had never heard the term before. After the nurse left, she picked up her phone and searched it. Stockholm Syndrome is a psychological response where a person who is threatened, abused, or held captive begins to feel loyalty, attachment, or sympathy toward their abuser as a way to cope and survive. Did she have it? For the first time in 3 years, she wondered if Donald wasn't correcting her, but abusing her. She pushed the thought away immediately. Donald loved her. He was the light in her darkness. The air she breathed. She was nothing without him. The next morning, she reached for her phone and read more about Stockholm Syndrome. Maybe she needed to talk to someone. Maybe a professional. Maybe someone who wouldn't judge her for staying. After her recovery, Donald drove her home. He had gone overboard with gifts, bags, wigs, jewelry, and even planned a lavish trip to Paris. Yet, despite all the love, attention, and luxuries, the thought of Stockholm Syndrome lingered in her mind. One day, Nurse Titi sent her a text, "You should speak to someone. Below is a phone number." Marvellous stared at the message for a long time, unsure what to do, before dismissing it entirely. For an entire week, Donald was the perfect gentleman. He cooked her favorite meals, sang soft songs, kissed her forehead, and took her to the most expensive restaurants. He showered her with love and attention. Yet, that nagging thought about Stockholm Syndrome refused to leave her mind. Finally, curiosity, or maybe fear, pushed her to open Nurse Titi's message again. She dialed the number. A calm, female voice answered. For a brief moment, Marvellous listened, but panic overtook her. She hung up immediately. What was she thinking? She asked herself. I don't have any damn syndrome. I love Donald. I need no therapy. I just need him. She even imagined having a baby with him. Thinking it might make him happier, maybe even calmer. The call back came seconds later. She ignored it. A month passed. Donald continued being affectionate, though occasional bursts of anger and sharp words reminded her of the danger she'd endured. Still, there was no beating. He took her to Paris, and the trip was magical. Marvellous felt truly blessed. One evening, with the Eiffel Tower sparkling behind them, she told him she wanted to have a baby for him. His face lit up with that charming, heart-stopping smile she loved. That would make me the happiest man alive, he said, tears glistening in his eyes. 3 weeks later, Marvellous realized she had missed her period. She bought a pregnancy test, hearts racing, hands trembling. When the result showed positive, Donald cried tears of joy. He wrapped her in his arms, showered her with extra affection, and bought even more gifts. But happiness was fleeting. 2 months later, an innocent call from Joseph, her former boss, triggered Donald's fury. He beat her savagely. Marvellous barely survived the attack, ending up in the same hospital once again with a miscarriage. Nurse Titi immediately recognized the truth. Marvellous had not slipped or fallen. She had been beaten. Her bruises, the fear in her eyes, the pain in her body, all spoke louder than any lie Donald could tell. The nurse, calm but firm, advised Marvellous once more to seek professional help, to speak to someone who could guide her through the fear, pain, and manipulation she had endured. The miscarriage broke something in Marvellous that even Donald's gifts could not repair. She lay in the hospital bed again, her body weak, her heart hollow. The baby she had hoped would soften him, calm him, save them, was gone. Donald told everyone she slipped and fell. He said it with confidence, the same confidence that once made her feel safe. But Nurse Titi knew. Marvellous, she said gently, this did not happen by accident. Marvellous turned her face away. She didn't have the strength to argue anymore. This man is not correcting you, Nurse Titi continued. He is destroying you. And if you stay, he will eventually kill you. For the first time, the words didn't anger her. They didn't feel like an attack. They felt like truth knocking, softly, patiently, on a door she had kept locked for years. That night, when the ward was quiet and Donald had gone home, Marvellous stared at her phone. Her hands shook as she searched for the number Nurse Titi had sent weeks earlier. She hesitated. Her chest tightened. What if they judged her? What if they laughed at her for staying so long? She dialed anyway. A woman answered. Her voice was calm, warm. Hello, she said. My name is Confidence. You're safe. Take your time. Marvellous broke. She cried the way she never had before. She told her everything, how it started, how it changed, how she learned to explain bruises, how she learned to blame herself, how she learned to love apologies more than peace. Confidence didn't interrupt, she didn't judge, she didn't rush her. This is not love, Confidence said when Marvellous finally went quiet. This is trauma. This is Stockholm Syndrome. And you can leave. Those words stayed with her. After she was discharged, Donald was different again, gentle, attentive, apologetic. He bought more gifts. Planned another trip. Promised forever. But something in Marvellous had shifted. She began speaking to Confidence regularly, hiding the calls, deleting messages, protecting a secret for the first time in her life, a secret that was hers. One afternoon, she told Donald she was going shopping. Instead, she went to Confidence's office. Sitting across from her therapist, Marvellous spoke for hours. About fear. About guilt. About how she had mistaken control for care. By the time she stood to leave, her legs trembled, not from weakness, but from resolve. She knew what she had to do. When she ended the relationship, Donald begged. He cried. He promised change. Then his messages turned dark, threatening, violent. This time, she didn't delete them. She went to the police. She told her story. She showed evidence. Witnesses spoke. The Nigerian police contacted the military. Donald was arrested. He was removed from command pending investigation. His power, once untouchable, was stripped away. The case dragged on, as such cases often do. But Marvellous was no longer silent. She reconnected with friends she had pushed away. She apologized. She healed. Donald would never command the same way again. And Marvellous, finally, began to live. Thank you for staying till the end. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel for more stories like this.